Okay guys, sorry about that. I had to kind of do that again. Essentially what we had as a problem was when we imported the image, you go to File, Import, and whatever image you choose, just make sure that, say for example, import a JPEG sequence. I don't know, that seemed to have caused the problem. But essentially it stopped the image being as long as it needed to be. But in any case, what we're going to do, I'm just going to continue from where I left off on the last video, so I might just kind of just change all that. But essentially what we're doing is we're going to get rid of this because this is just a waste of time. I'm just going to get rid of that. Yes, please go away. Typical After Effects issues that come up. So let's just go back to where we were. So we're going to go back to this. We're going to go apothecary, make that, and then make that the alpha mat. We've gone to here, and then we've got a displacement map on top. Let's have a look. So the alpha mat is done. The new adjustment layer, add distort displacement map. Okay. Okay, we seem to have a problem. Let's have a look. So I'm going to go to Effects Control, put Luminance and Luminance. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, create a new solid and pre-cromp this one solid. So let's do that. I'm going to call this Fractal Noise. And yeah, that's fine. Pixels, square pixels, done. Okay, we're going to pre-comp that. One way to do it is to pre-compose or Control-Shift-C, so just do that, but we're actually going to send it to the right spot. So let's go into the project, and in there, Control-Shift-C, we're going to call it, yep, Fractal Noise, which I'm happy with. Keep everything in there. Okay. So we'll go into the Fractal Noise by double clicking and go Effect. And Noise. Fractal Noise. So the settings here are going to be the following. We're going to do dynamic and noise type is spleen. Contrast we're doing 132 and brightness 11. Scale we're going to do about 60. And let's have a look. Evolution options. We're going to Alt select the random seed. So press and hold Alt, and we're going to type in here time times, and you can do the frame rate. So let's just have a look. Okay. Go back into here. We're going to hide the layer And then the displacement map is now set to fractal noise. So that's actually this one. Let's just rename it for now. Call it displacement map. Now, if we go to the effects of that, we're going to go here, fractal noise. We've got this kind of wiggling going on now. Let's have a look. So what we can do now is go back into fractal noise. Could do about 140. And contrast. Scale, sorry, could be about, let's try 70 and see what happens. If we go back to the sea creature, and of course, turn that back on, and we've got our little sort of animation. Now, what we'll do now, so just to make it clear, I'll do another one of these, but that's essentially the look and feel of it. Let's have a squeeze. Okay. So now what we're going to do we need to have a look at that sea creature and make sure it's all in the this here needs to be, yeah, the little animation we're going to use. Okay, so let's do that again. Let's do another one. And this time we might actually take this one out. Let's do that one. Let's take this one out. So we're going to start from scratch. New artboard. V key, going to select this little guy. Hold the shift key down so that we've actually got. Now notice the size of this is actually going to determine the size. So the artboard itself will determine the size of the comp. Okay, so back to the selection tool, and then we're going to export that. So file, export from screens. We're not going to worry about these two because we've got it already. We're going to get this little guy out. Make sure that we're sending it to the right place, which is in here, current project, in the illustrations area. The settings are going to be ping file, and not sure if it's art optimized, and don't worry about interlace because that's generally when you're doing web design. And we definitely want transparent. So we're going to save those settings, and we're going to call this we'll go to the end of that, TWO. Export that, and that'll end up exactly where we need it. Okay, then we're going to go into here. We're going to start again. So we're going to do sea creature, seal, what's it called? Seal creature, and then we're going to do, let's go to the top of here. It's just clearing it up here. We're going to go seal creature 2. So that's the second one. Enter. So the very first thing we need to do now is we're going to go File, Import, File, and go to the illustration, find that, and make sure that we don't have ping sequence selected, because I think that causes the issue of it being limited to how long you can stretch it out. So that's in the right spot there. Now what we're going to do immediately is create a comp out of it. So we're just going to drag it on top. There it is, it's composed. So, and you can see it's the full length and duration that it needs to be. It's not restricted to a little size down there. Now, the very next thing that we're going to do, so we've pretty much composed the seal creature. Now we're going to bring in the texture layer. So we're going to grab this and let's get that background. So this background here, I mean, we could rename that obviously to whatever background you want. It's probably a good idea to do it, but in any case, there it is there as a composition. So what we did to create that, of course, is we grabbed that, we dragged it on top of here, and it created that, but we've already got it. So what we're going to do now is we've got the seal creature 2. We're going to grab this background, which has already been created, drop it in there, as you can see. Actually, I've just realized I've grabbed the wrong one. Don't you love it? Yeah, I've grabbed that one by accident. What I want to do, sorry about that, guys. File, actually we're going to do select the artwork, give it a black outline, and then make the appearance one point, and as you can see, it's got it. So let's go File, Export, Export for Screens. No and no, we want that one. Yeah. Export Artboard, yes, we want to replace it, and we've accidentally grabbed that one when we should have grabbed that one up there. So that's the one we actually really want. So we'll rename that because it's got the artboard in there, which we don't need. So we're just going to do that. Delete artboard and just go seal creature 2. Cool. Out of there. And this time we're just actually going to delete that. Yep, so we're going to delete that for now. We're going to try again. This time we're going to delete that as well because we've accidentally grabbed the wrong one. So seal creature 2, believe it or not. So here's a good way to do this. Highlight the folder we want to bring in and go File, Import. We're just doing the same thing. And this time we're grabbing the right file. So we shouldn't have grabbed that one, but this one. Okay, so that's the only thing we did wrong. Now, grab it, drag it on top. Okay, and notice it's putting it in the little folder that we need because it was highlighted when we did it. Now we can do what we need to do. Okay, so we're just double checking that that's all good, which it is. Okay. Grab that little background, throw it down. And then the next thing we've got to do is, and notice we didn't drop the background JPEG image, but the actual composed, pre-composed image. We're going to alpha matte the background. So we go here and alpha matte it. So now, once again, the seal image on top is actually the outline for the image background. Done, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to add a new adjustment layer. Okay. New adjustment layer. Now, we can rename that and call it DISPLAC displacement map. There's a reason why we name it. It's obviously going to be easier for you to understand what you're doing when you're grabbing and selecting later on. So the new adjustment layer, we select it and we're going to add the effect of distort displacement map. Now we're going to go into its effects and luminance, and I'm assuming that has to do with not using the RGB red and green and everything like that. It's not needing that at all. And all we're going to do now is go layer, new, solid, I believe is next. Okay. We're going to call this Fractal Noise. Okay, same width and height of the actual comp. So that's fine. Then what we're going to do is grab that and go Control-Shift-C. Or in this case, you could go layer and then pre-compose, which is Control-Shift-C. Yes, we want to move all attributes into the new composition. And yes, we want to make this composition the same duration as the existing comp that's in there. We're not going to need to see comp 1. Fractal Noise will do us. Then we go into Project, Fractal Noise. We're going to double click that because that's just what we just created was this, the pre-composed Fractal Noise. Nothing in there at the moment, as you can see, but we're going to add an effect and highlight the Fractal Noise layer effect. We're going to go to Noise and Grain, Fractal Noise, and these are the settings. First things first, it's dynamic. Second thing, spleen. Third thing, 132 for contrast, although that can vary. 11 for brightness. Transform that scale is going to be about 60. And that's that one so far. Yep. And then, of course, when you come down to evolution options, we're going to click on the stopwatch, but we hold Alt. And down here, we're going to type TIME, time, star 24, which is the frame rate, 24, 25, 30, anywhere there. These numbers can change. Obviously, what you change and adjust and play with will determine what the animation looks like. Go back to the sea creature. We can see the fractal noise is there, but what we're going to do is grab the displacement map layer and make it the fractal noise. And as you can see, when we press play, it's now doing what we want. Okay. But we're going to actually show the artwork, and we've got the artwork doing what it needs to. Now, once again, the whole idea behind this animation technique is it's a simple, easy way to create animation without having to use puppetry tools and other things like it. So now that we've done this, this is actually a really good way to do background elements as well, or any sort of little elements in animation that you don't want to spend too much time, I guess, doing a lot of, puppetry pin tools and things. But in this case, more importantly, it can also be used to make an otherwise static element look like it's being animated quite a bit. Now, we're going to save all that. Okay, go back to the project, and you can see the two little creatures are here. We're going to get rid of the solids. We don't need to, well, not get rid of it, but just hide that for a sec, twirl that down. Incidentally, I think I can reuse the fractal noise, so I don't think I need to keep creating a new fractal noise each time. Having said that, I could grab that and throw it back up here, and grab that one and throw it back in there as well. So now what we're going to do, go back to this little section, and now what we can do is, let's have a look. We're going to go to the, it's the 11th video, like I said earlier. So if we look at here, we can see that there actually is a layer, which is this video, and then the background, which is that background there, right? So what we're going to do is put our first little creature in between. So let's look at the first sea creature and grab that one, and you can see what's going on when we add it above, and you can just see it's randomly in the middle. So what we're going to do is grab this little guy and size him up properly. So we just grab, hold the shift key, Okay. And we can start by having the creature off screen, right? As we start to move through, we want to move that creature in. So we're going to move this little guy a little bit slow. So once we get to about, say, the 3rd second, we might have this, you know, creature sort of moving into, let's say they might get to here. Now, a good thing to do and decide on is, does the creature come in from behind and sit behind, or should the creature sit in front? Now, if we're going to say it's going to sit in front, then we obviously grab it and bring it in front. And it might be actually better. Now, the other thing we can do as well is look at the transform tools. We're going to look at rotation. Okay. So we've got it sitting there at about the 3rd or 4th second, let's say. Then what we do, position, okay, I'm going to grab it and move it off screen. Now that was a mistake, so let me just do that again. Sorry guys, it's actually not going to work like that. We've then got to bring that back and then add the movement. Now if you want to go straight from, you know, the other thing we can do as well is grab the rotation. Let's have a look. Rotation, add a keyframe by pressing and clicking on the stopwatch. Then what we can do is rotate that back to about, you know, 2, and we can see what that looks like. Now we're looking at full frame, which we won't continue with that. We're going to go about 1/4 or 1/3. Let's have a look, see if that moves quick enough. This is just to give us an idea. Obviously it's not moving real time, but we just want to see that seal moving in. Now one interesting thing, so what you can do, just watch that. Now in terms of the keyframes, we can see what's happened. We can actually go keyframe assistant, easy in, because it's moving in, and we can start to see that it will slow down as it gets to that keyframe, and it will stay there obviously. So now what we could also do is have another seal meet in the middle. So let's grab the other one, which is see creature 2. We're going to grab that one and move it above, pull it over to here and resize the same way using the shift key. Just double checking. So one of the things we can do here is just a simple little meet in the middle type animation effect. Okay, so let's have a look. Now what we can do here is change its value. We're not so concerned about the 4 seconds, but what we are seeing as a bit of an issue is that this has gone a little too far. So one of the things we can do with the positioning is literally make sure we're on the right keyframe. So the position now needs to be a little bit further back. So let's just do that. So we just make sure we're hitting the position. Okay, and we're going to move it to about, say, there. This little guy will start here. And I think we need to make him a little bit smaller. To zoom in for a second, just make sure we click on him. Shift. Okay. So let's just save that just in case. Right. So on the 4th second, we want this guy to be there. Once again, we'll just go into full so we can see what's going on. So if we want to see him sitting there, what we'll do now is the following. We're going to mark a keyframe for this guy. So we're just going to close that so we're not confused. This is actually the second one. So the position's going to be there. So we just mark it. Go back to the start and then hold and bring him back. Okay. So we've just got to be careful though he's not too far back. So he's coming in at the same time. Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll move forward to that spot, possibly add a bit of rotation. So we'll just do that. And then if we go back to the start, the rotation, new keyframe. Just watching to see that new keyframe is created, which it is. About there. So let's have a look. Okay, at full frame, we're not going to get very fast. So let's go at a quarter. So we're just watching. Now what we're going to do, okay, so we're watching how quickly they're moving in. What we're going to do is adjust the acceleration at the start. So file and save. Okay, then what we can do for both of them, new keyframe. So we add it like that. So we add a new keyframe there, and then boom, push him back. We can actually go easy out. Let's have a look. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the next one. In fact, we can actually open the other one up. Jump to that keyframe. Add a new position keyframe there. That's obviously adding it to this one. Jump to the next one. Pull him out. Same way. And then do the same thing. Click, right click, whoops, probably messed that one up. Right click, push keyframe assistant and easy out. So then it eases out as well. Okay, so we'll save that. Once again, this is just a simple form of animation depending on the client's project and budget. This is a really quick and easy way of doing it. So you can see, bang, we've just got that little animation going. Now another thing you can do, just to kind of make this interesting, especially at the start, if you go to here, and we start to see we're moving in maybe a little bit too slow, the graph editor sort of indicates what we want to know is speed graph. So you can see the speed. The speed velocity is quite literally based on this. The higher this goes, so if this jumps right up here and then comes down, it means that it's not moving when it gets to there. So what you can do is when you get to about here, you can actually lift it up a little. Okay, so what we want to do Notice how much quicker that one came out. So what you can do is the same thing with the other one. Okay, we're going to go to position, and yeah, so we're watching that one go in. Now we want to see the second one, which is the one on the other side. As you can see, nowhere near the same sort of graph. Now, first thing we're going to do is change that. So we'll jump out of the graph editor, and we're going to highlight these and go right click, keyframe assistant, easy in. Okay, and then select the position, graph editor, and you can see the same thing happened. Once again, we're going to grab that little pin, and the higher we lift that up, the quicker this will move in. Let's have a look. Obviously they're not moving at this point, hence the reason why it's flat. And then what you'll see is that they quickly accelerate away. So if we jump to here, okay, there was a quick acceleration out. Once again, we'll save that. Now the graph editor is a bit weird. It doesn't quite work the way I wish it would, but we've sort of achieved the mission here. More importantly, if we've obviously saved that, we go back to and we jump to the same clip, which is right there. So you can see the difference. Now you'll notice that I think having them black outline, just mute that for a sec. Boom. Okay, so that's done the job. You can see that black outline certainly helps if we actually look at this in full size. Notice the black outline creates that separation. Didn't do it in the previous videos, so very quick and easy to add the black outline. And I think if we watch it again from about here, let's see if we can watch it at about half. So we can sort of see what's going on there. Now, if the client had the budget, one of the things that we would do, and it's certainly something that I would introduce to a client now, is you can see some of the extra animation that we can add. Let's just go back a step. We'd have these little balls maybe revolving. So if we look at it in full, so these little balls we could separate in Illustrator. We'd actually make it a separate element and then have them sort of revolving, maybe even bouncing up and down. And so they would bounce up and down and revolve and everything else. Once again, it comes down to what the client's budget is. And if the budget is there, you most certainly spend the extra time. But if a client just says, look, here's some Illustrator artwork, can you please animate? In this case, it's a 5-minute long song. So, and there's 15 clips of animation added. Once again, the animation, not a problem in terms of doing it. There's certainly any number of things that we could do. The question now becomes, has the client got the budget? The time it would take to animate this completely and fully and do all these amazing things, including the little bubbles moving in the background and whatnot, would be literally 2 to 3 weeks of animation. You don't want to be charging, you know, $100 a day or something. It's just not, they're not paying enough for the work that's involved. So believe it or not, an animated video can cost around $2,000 to $3,000 once you really animate it. But if the views are going to be hitting at around 500,000 or more, is it worth it? Good question. Because by the time you hit 500,000 views on YouTube, especially with the amazing animation, then by all means you can justify it, because clearly the ad revenue is what you'd be looking at. But having said that, at least you've got an idea of how we animated this and what it all looks like in terms of the time it took. It probably took us about an hour. In this case, it looks like it's half an hour. So each video that we've been doing is taking about half an hour, and that's, you know, giving you an idea of, you know, a full video, just one element of animation, which is in this case the creatures, could take around about 6 hours just to add them in and move them back and forth. Once you start adding things like the ball bouncing and moving around and doing all these other things, you're looking at around another maybe 6 hours. So each layer of sophistication starts to add up. And that's not including the green screen removal, which has happened, as you can see. All right, so thanks for watching, guys. That was just a quick little cover off. Tomorrow, what I'll be doing is rendering out from about there to about here, because it looks like the video's ready to be given to the client. If they want, like I said, more animation, once again, the dollars go up. Just to cover off as well, you'll notice where I go to previous videos and we didn't include, let's have a look, the outline. Let's see if we can get it. So you can see the difference if we look at this without the outline. You can see there's no outline on these. So what will probably happen, maybe just before I render out, I'll actually add the outline, and that way, you know, the client's got the little black outlines, which makes the artwork pop a little bit. Other than that, that's what it's looking like so far. If once again the client decides, we can always add more. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Cheers.